Yes.
Yes, we're live.
Give us a thumbs up if you hear us.
Hello, everyone. Hello, LinkedIn family. Fantastic to be here with Kinga. We're super excited to be here with you today for what promises, at least that's our expectation, to be an inspiring and uplifting session on personal branding, thought leadership on LinkedIn, and all the pieces that you can put together to really empower yourself on this great platform that LinkedIn is. And so today, as I said, beyond being host or co-host, I am with Kinga. Many of you know, she's a super thought leader on LinkedIn personal branding, and she is precisely the mastermind behind this IX3 model that we're gonna unpack and present to you today, which we'll dive into very shortly. But then let's just give people some welcome words from Kinga.
Yeah, so you were too nice introducing me, but you cannot complain either. So would you want to describe yourself and your mastermind, because you are an uncrowned god of PR?
Oh, I was just exchanging nice compliments.
Yeah, but we actually met here. It's a brilliant example of the power of LinkedIn and how you can meet with the most amazing people when you cross paths. It was, I think, a year ago to pop up on my content and left all the smart comments. The beginning of a beautiful friendship, isn't it?
I guess so, yeah. We've started to connect a year ago. It was precisely a year ago when we started to connect. At that time when you start to really relate to some of the content creators on LinkedIn, where you start to identify who are your buddies on LinkedIn. I was really into this very seriously, not just, coming in off and on. And that's when we connected, we started to chat and also learn the ropes of LinkedIn together, right?
Yes. Exactly. You always pick up something, there are algorithm changes, then you want to test that new format. So I think it's a never-ending journey.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, if people are still joining us, I would like to just leave a quick question for everyone. In one word, please, just drop what would best describe your goals for 2025, professional goals, your goals regarding your personal branding journey, or your participation on LinkedIn. Just drop it in the comments when we get started. That being said, let's set the stage.
So today we have an attempt to help people with their 2025 LinkedIn blueprint and supercharge their plans and help them to reach their goals faster. This act that we put together, I actually teaching at the University of Amsterdam to EMBA students, and I survived more than 100 of them. So it is a really tested method and built with all the feedback, all the nice questions that we received during the journey. So I really hope that the nice people of LinkedIn will also find it insightful and useful for their own personal branding journey.
If I can add, it's all about that, what Kinga said, is bringing up your strengths as a professional, your profile, your strengths as a person, but make your purpose more personal. I think it's about the personalization of your purpose, and not only depend on what you do, but depend more and more and make it visible on what you are. I guess that was also my motivation behind this when I started LinkedIn a year ago. And my motivation to join Kinga on this movement, as we presented, it's not just a program. You can find many programs out there. There's a lot of offers or profile optimization here and there, etc. But this is a different thing. I think what we created here and what brought me to this program, to this IX3 matrix that Kinga put together, the idea of continuing to push the boundaries of my personal branding journey, but at the same time to contribute to the greater good of preserving LinkedIn's uniqueness and advantage versus other socials, right? Just think about it. LinkedIn does offer something unique, and we, the users and the content creators, have the responsibility to preserve that uniqueness, right? Those competitive advantages versus other socials. And you see today a lot of misinformation, their uniqueness, and to detect what's a bot, what's real life stories, etc. And LinkedIn somehow makes it really good, preserves that value of keep up with industry trends and have it firsthand without any noise, right? Industry top leaders and top thought leaders coming to the platform, sharing their thoughts on the next fight of climate change, how they're cutting through the noise in terms of climate innovative policies and many other topics. So I think we all have a responsibility just beyond creating content. But we need to also make sure that we preserve the uniqueness of this platform, the organic value of the platform, we need to self-educate ourselves on these kind of programs. And that's also one of the main motivations that brought me to Kinga and to the program that she conceived, that she brilliantly designed. Because if we start just to pollute this platform with one-size-fits-all generic stuff, superficial conversation, that will make the platform uninteresting for many corporate leaders. And so I think it's up to us now to preserve that as users. No, it means that we need to make an effort to value this space as a thoughtful platform that continues to give voice to thought leaders.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience, and you are exactly right. As thought leaders, and every single one of us who is sharing, posting, commenting are actually in certain stages of thought leadership. We do have a vote. What kind of content do we want to see on the platform? What are the conversations we want to drive? So this is just my timeline, and other than just sharing that how quickly you can get to zero to hero or no voice to top voice, I just really wanted to show you that if you try to invest a little bit of time and effort from your side, within a very short period of time, which for me was 1.5 years, I could reach already the impossible. And I did it next to full-time job, MBA studies, 3 kids. One of them is a newborn. So if you follow me, you know the saga. It was actually the trigger that I started to speak about my journey, because I thought that I might have some things to share that people could use or appreciate, or some value that I can create. But I think the most incredible that I became a top voice under 4,000 followers, and I'm still just on the chase of the 12,000. But despite of the size and despite of the reach that you can produce, you can actually really supercharge your career or really drag those people to your life who needs to be there. Because with the curated content, very strategic directions and a diligent execution, you can exactly go to the direction you want to go. I think it's just really an amazing platform to supercharge everything you want to achieve in this life. And why LinkedIn? My main motivation was that there's less troll. Obviously, it's a huge platform with more than 1 billion users. It's incredible. I think the decision makers, the kind of the elite, those people who are going to buy your products or decide on your future as your future boss or your stakeholders, they're all there. It's an amazing platform which can somehow accumulate the brain power, I think, which is out there, which might not be available on an Instagram or in a Facebook, even if they are using it for very different purposes and the frequency very different. What is a brilliant news for every single one of us, that still 90% of the users are lurkers. I was one of them until a year ago or so.
Me too, guilty as charged until a year ago. And I'm on LinkedIn for 12 years. LinkedIn just popped up a message today reminding me that I joined LinkedIn 12 years ago.
Imagine if you would knew 12 years ago that you knew today. You probably will be a president of a big firm.
Full-time dad, which, still is my dream. But anyway.
Yes, but now you know, so you can use it very consciously. But what is a really good use for the majority of the people, because not everyone wants to be a thought leader, not everyone would like to turn to a micro-influencer or a big influencer. The majority of the people are still here either to do business or to use the platform to get their next role, to future-proof somehow their career, to network very intentionally. And this is exactly the main purpose or the original root of the platform itself. So good news is that if you do nothing, still being a lurker, that's also fine. Just make sure that your profile is updated based on your strategic verticals, and you already have way more chances to be found, either by recruiters, your future business partners, or anything in between. And I think what is really stunning number, that there's 2 million plus posts daily in the platform itself,
Amazing.
Which is not just post anymore, obviously, because video is coming as a fast train. But the opportunity to be visible is very real. So it's tangible that even if you are creating content and it might not be a popular opinion in the creator world, but you don't need to do it on every single day. You don't need to spend your life on content creation when you are a corporate leader. You do have your day job, you do have your life. Regularity, I think, is the most important here. And if you find the right balance, be it weekly 1, 2, 3 if you are very advanced or in a hunting phase where you want to have a new job or clients promotion, then that's absolutely fine. So this is some kind of a fluctuating platform, and obviously you are a little bit more active when you have a role to play here. And why did I start it? Yeah, it was an MBA exercise actually, that you needed to pick something what you are not comfortable with, and look what it turned to be. I'm a very massive introvert. Again, who follows me knows it, or who knows me in person knows that I'm really not comfortable with all this sharing your ideas concept. But gaining visibility is definitely something that I think every single creator I spoke to highlighted as one of their primary goals when they joined the platform. Yeah, being found by recruiters, it's a massive perk still for majority of the corporate people.
Yeah.
But the network, the quality network, the conscious building of the human capital is something that for me was really important. And to this day, I'm putting massive effort to not just collect people like Pokemon cards, but really garden those relationships, create value.
You've mentioned a very important point, which is the being original, right? Being yourself. Just make sure you reflect yourself and not someone else. If I could give myself a piece of advice, when I started LinkedIn 12 years ago, or more actively, 1.5 years ago, let's say, when I started tap into LinkedIn and see it as a serious platform to build my personal brand, if I had to summarize it in one sentence, I would say that don't simply blend in and start using all the LinkedIn jargon and other shortcuts to sound popular or to sound a future-proof forward thinker on LinkedIn. Yes, that would make you, as it makes a lot of people, part of the crowd and may take you to the top, but I think it won't keep you there for much longer, right? It would be something
Yes.
that I would say, to everyone that are starting their LinkedIn journey. So, starting privileging the organic, privileging the real image on their life they live, and reflect that on LinkedIn.
And in the world where ChatGPT is kind of everywhere and you can create content with 2 clicks, literally, I think preserving somehow this authenticity and using it in a very conscious way, showing your kind of humanness, the very essence, the vulnerability even. I think that's the art that you can absolutely use to build the brand that you wanted to.
Jumping straight to the matrix,
Yes.
I think that's what people have been waiting for. So this is the IX3, which is going to be our new community, our new cause.
Whatever we do, whenever we do, even as a content creator or presenter, lecturer, I think our main purpose is to create value. It is for me to share what I learned, to inspire others, to motivate them, to give them something that they can build with. That's my why. But I found that those creators, be it a corporate ambassador, a corporate influencer, or a creative influencer, those are the most successful, who has a very, very strongly rooted why. And building your 2025 roadmap and blueprint, do it in a very conscious way. Build it brick by brick, post by post, to a direction you want to get. And I think as thought leaders and purposeful leaders, it's super important for you to pause just a little bit before you start rushing to your 2025 goals. You really need to reconnect with yourself to understand the whys. Because if you embark on the content creation journey, there will be the hard days, there will be less successful posts. The algorithm will definitely make your life very miserable. You will probably have much less reach at the beginning than you envisioned, or after some peak will not be as sustainable as you envisioned. So we brought you 3 questions today that we would love you to take away and just spend 5 minutes after this session. Try to dig a little bit to your own why. So why are you on the mission on LinkedIn? What's the vision that you would love to, or the North Star that you would love to reach by the end of the year? I think it's super important to be honest with yourself, because yes, you may have monetary motivations, you want to earn more, you want to get more of clients, you want to excel in your career, but the real motivation is usually not what is on the surface. That's why it's really important that you have these conversations with yourself, because maybe it is financial stability, maybe it is being valued, maybe it is something that was always super important for you to get to a dream level of your life quality. So what is the real driver behind that? Because if you understand that, it's going to drive your everything really. So how you behave as a leader, how you are creating your content, how you are perceived by your colleagues, by your peers. Just spend a little bit of a time to analyze your why.
This is a great point, the why, starting with the why. Also, Ines Caps on the chat, she said, and I totally agree in it, that the most important thing is to find your own style rather than just copy-pasting what others do. That's uniqueness, that showcase your own knowledge. And I guess that's also what other people, it's important to understand that when we design the why, what other people are looking for on LinkedIn is exactly your expertise, right? Your niche knowledge, right? Your knowledge, your uniqueness. So don't, again, going back to my initial words, don't just blend in and try to be someone else. I think it's important to reflect your uniqueness and your niche of expertise, your niche of knowledge, and that will, project you forward for sure. I think that's, one of the most important things when designing the why, right, Kinga?
Exactly, because if you understand your why, just give an example. I would love to be, I don't know, a CEO. I hear it many times from the MBA students in 5 years. Okay, but why do you want to get there and what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
And how does a CEO behave in your eyes? So is it in line with your current communication style? Is it in line with the crispness of your messaging? Do you perceive yourself as a future leader? And most importantly, is it reflected in everything you do, in your behavior, in your consistent messaging on LinkedIn? What is the effect that you have from people? This is what I hear a lot from newbiers in LinkedIn, that they try to somehow find a balance between authenticity and this leadership communication, and they are not really getting it first. But the good news is that it comes with practice. You can absolutely do that. With every single post, you will see how people react and how you feel about it. And after that, it will be much easier to try to get to the direction that you really want to reach. So these are the questions that I kindly suggest to ponder on and try to define a little bit the direction and how you are going to get there.
I think you've covered this already, but I guess a very important point that you mentioned is the career advancement, right? I think many of us that went through or that are and climbing the corporate ladder is a tough journey. So many of us that are on the corporate ladder in global roles or local roles, we know the value of having our own space of opinion, right? The value of showcasing our, again, uniqueness, our authentic opinions, our views, because many, many times the industry you're in or the company you work for doesn't give you that space. And it would be interesting to speak up, right? It's interesting to level up your profile, to raise your profile apart from the cause of the company you serve. I think the spotlight on career advancement is really important. It's a good I think one of the main takeaways from today, but Kinga will tell you.
So once you identified your why, exactly some of these directions will very clearly come up. So maybe you are very comfortable at your position, which happens a lot in my coaching practice, for example. They don't want to be influencers at all. They just want to project to the outside world as well, the leader who they really are, because, for example, talent attraction, or project to stakeholders, potential investors, how the company is performing. So that's why I'm a little bit always critical with all the advices out there, because you cannot give one single advice that everyone can, just add water. So there's no
soul doesn't fit, right?
Yeah, so depending on your career stage, your life experiences, your personal aspirations, the company goals. So there are so many moving pieces that if you do not approach it from a strategic angle and direction, it just doesn't work. Yes, you can have peaks, you can go viral, but is it really something that you want to have, or you want to just slowly, diligently build to a direction which really helps you in a proven way to get to your goals?
If it's just for vanity, I think you have better platforms right out there. I mean, that might give you more viral exposure than LinkedIn. If it's for the content value or the value of the content, I think this is the right one. And Takesh really nailed it when, on the chat box, he said, your niche or your expertise makes you stand out. So provide consistent value to your community. That's the point, right? To
really nice.
Be consistent, and very nicely said, Takesh. I think it's about that, right? Deliver good content constantly, permanently, and be there. Just be there. Most of the times, I mean, you'll not be, highly inspired every day, but you'll have the chance to debate, to comment, to learn from others. And I think that's also the other side of the coin, right? Of LinkedIn, is that you can learn just from commenting. You can learn just from being present. You don't need to, to craft and draft a major, massive post to go viral. I think the platform offers much more. Again, if we go and keep preserving the uniqueness of LinkedIn, the originality of LinkedIn, and that capacity to attract the thought leaders from different industries and different niche to come and share their own expertise, and so that we're ahead of all other platforms, knowing what's happening on the AI industry, what's happening on the gaming industry, what's happening on many others. I think that's, we need to preserve that value, because they still come to LinkedIn. They don't go to other platforms when it's about sharing those latest trends, right?
So I think the recommendation of spending like 15 minutes a day on LinkedIn is spot on, because you really just need to be there. But depending on your goal and the exact strategy that you build to yourself and executing, following through, it may be just what you just said, that you just want to have an eye on what's happening on the market. You just want to make sure that you are capturing those connections who are organically coming up from your everyday work. Maybe you just want to tap into other territories or learning something on another industry, slowly, diligently building your vertical move in a year or so. It's an investment that every single one of us must take. And should you go to a very active search or a very active visibility type of signaling to the market that you are ready stage, then obviously this 15-minute can be posting something, starting to comment very strategically to the thought leaders of the specific industry you are playing in. But I think it is really dependent on the actual whys. And once, of course, you had your thinking about why are you active, what do you want to achieve, and when do you want to achieve, then everything is going to get to its pieces. And I think the white paper syndrome and all the other self-limiting stuff and the blockers are coming that we don't know what we want. And this too big, I should say, freedom is really what is paralyzing us most of the times. But if you really spent a little bit of a time and understood that, okay, what did you enjoy in your previous roles? Do you want to keep them or not? Now is the season of vertical movers. So that's a very useful exercise. If you understand that, what are the things which really makes you passionate, that you want to pursue in the future as well? What are your strengths that you can build on? What are the values? What are the superpowers that you have per se? Then you absolutely already have a baseline which will be important in your presence. And once you have the clarity on these will almost organically, naturally lead to your future goals. So you don't need to pressure yourself or that, oh my God, what is going to be in a year or so? Because if you just go with the waves and follow the right people, the right influencers, the right companies, very strategic verticals, it's almost inevitable that you are progressing and going to a better place. And then we are arriving to the target audience. Depending on all the mind work or the strategizing that you did in the beginning, you will naturally end up again that, okay, I'm going to speak to the recruiters because I would love to grab their attention, because even if I might not look for a job at the moment, but I want to be known as an expert of AI tools or a combination of current AI in procurement. Just giving an example. So if you know that, who do you speak to? Both your tone, both the messaging, both the post types and frequency will again fall into pieces almost naturally. If you are at that level of your career and your own development that actually you are very comfortable where you are, you just really want to adamant yourself in this level, in this position, in this industry, after a while, it's a very natural next step that you want to be an industry thought leader. Then the peer engagement is getting to place. Then the sharing experiences, attracting talent, projecting what's happening in your world is going to be, again, very relevant and important. And if you know that who are, again, these people you are speaking to, then you don't have all these struggles about what should I post about.
Because you naturally follow the waves of the conversations that are happening or that are trending on that sector, of course.
Trends are important because you can piggyback one of those. But if you just do nothing, just very consciously, step by step, turtle style, going to the chosen direction, you get there much faster than you could imagine. And obviously, it's a business platform, so clients, partners are there. They can absolutely find you once you are sharing your best practices, case studies. But again, one of the questions that I receive the most is, how do I write in a way that people feel that I'm speaking to them? And there's no magic formula, there's no ChatGPT prompt. It really is just that I think about someone. It might be a friend, it might be a client who had a very exciting question, and I want to share what I discovered during having those discussions, but I always pick someone I want to teach or entertain sometimes.
Can I challenge you? I think one of the things, Kinga, that we're all seeing, I guess, on a daily basis when we engage with content creators here, with that 1% creating content, I think one of the things that we're seeing more and more is the replication of those business advices, of those leadership advices. And that bothers me a bit, to be honest, because, hey, I mean, we can do more, we can say more and go beyond, what everyone is saying. And then you see that this group of people that publish at X or Y time and hour, they just talk about that in a row. And then you get those, again, it's that robotization that we're talking about that is not likely to put LinkedIn in a good position in the long term. And my question is, how can we make sure, what's the very first thing that someone joining us, listening to us and joining LinkedIn today should do to avoid because that's an easy to do thing, right? They might feel tempted to just pick on that content that really performed well and speak about it, explore it or repurpose it in a different manner. What's the very first thing that someone joining, again, the why, but then in terms of targeting their audience and be concerned about and worried about, how do I position myself from the day one as a thought leader voice, as a thoughtful voice in my niche and not just, a generic poster?
Yeah, so my answer may not be to your liking. Sometimes you need to try the trends. Sometimes you need to see whether it works for you. I did that. I had one single billboard and then I realized that I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the billboard person. So sometimes you just really need to try because you can. And tomorrow you can post another one. I think LinkedIn is all about trial and fail and see what works for you. And sometimes you just need to try what others do because then you will realize that. And I think it's super important.
So it might work for you, but might not work for others, or what worked for others might not work for you. There's a learning curve. That's
because
the point.
They have their own audience, they have their own network, so they need to try that. But I think what is super important for everyone to evaluate. I, for example, had a few viral content. I never tried that. It was like an accident. But then I realized that, oh my goodness, these are not the people I want to attract. Yeah. So they were nice, but they were not on my professional field. They were very distant categories, for example. And if we speak about like strategic building or getting to somewhere, these are kind of irrelevant directions. So if you want to go to a certain point, yes, you can have some troubles, see what happens in other words, but you just need to stick to the plan and follow through if you do have that plan. If you don't, many starting up thought leaders, they just say that they just need to test the waters, then just go with it. Speak about the trends, try some fluffy topics, share some overall advices, and then you will learn very soon.
Experimentation in the beginning,
if
right?
It works for you. You just need to test yourself. Sometimes, if you are in a growth phase, you actually need to go with the lighter content because then your follower base is growing faster. But I think here, again, the balance is a super important factor. So go use the overall topics, but make sure that on other days you still have depth, still create volume and create a balance which really works for you and you feel authentic yourself as well.
Going back to the deck.
Yeah, because they want to learn or want to build their dream.
Exactly. And the conversation was just a perfect segue into, the takeaway on target audience.
So once we understood ourselves and understood who we want to speak to, then we can create this bridge between the two verticals. So we really need to understand then who are the people we are speaking to. And it might not be one type of person or one type of group. So you can absolutely speak to your potential clients one day. You can start tracking future talents to your organization or adamant yourself as an industry leader for certain topics, your niche that they love to use nowadays. But if you understood that, okay, these are the three types of people, then you do have your three content pillars. You just need to vary these and write the content or create the content accordingly. You did an exercise in the previous block, which was about understanding the strengths, fields you love, or the interesting topics, trends that you really like. So if you pick those, you can absolutely build on those as well, which can really help you to create the content. So these are kind of the bridges which will, again, very naturally and very easily help you to get from A to B without any effort. And then we need to have a deeper look to ourselves. So we had a plan. We want to be a CEO in 5 years. We're just finishing university. Then you evaluate your brand. And then you are going to have a semi-serious discussion with yourself. Is everything you just discussed or you were working through building, is it really in line with the goals? Are you really reflecting that picture that you want to project to these people? Because even the best strategy doesn't work if you're not following it through. You need to just simply put the reps in, and you need to be super consistent. And again, it doesn't mean that you need to do it on a daily basis. You need to find a balance which is good for you and can help you to get to your desired level. And as said, the professional identity is something that you don't need to stress yourself on at all. So every thought leader, every influencer, every even CEO started somewhere. And I think it's the trials and fails. I have some horrible posts and still became a top voice, but I'm not deleting them because I'm embracing my dumminess. And I actually kept them as a pride that I could just pull, but feel fast and then get up.
It's the choice.
I love it. It's like the scars in the bottle. So that was me too. Yeah. So you might not be proud of yourself, but I think these are part of your growth journey and your learning journey. And at the beginning, once this identity is formed, is no different than any other learning journey. And I have a very good news for you on the other side, that if that content is really, really bad, then probably no one is going to see it in your network because the algorithm doesn't let it to others to see. And you can anytime, if you really think that it was really, really bad, or you receive some horrible feedback, sometimes happens, spoiler, then you can absolutely delete that post and it will be kind of forgotten very, very quickly. So just embrace your dummy, just go with the flow and get to a level very soon after you try the formats, you try the trends, you had your first billboard. No complaints here for the billboard guys on the other side. If it works for you, it's work for us.
Looking at the chat, so just parenthesis is exactly as Olympia is saying, right? The authenticity is the key. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real and aligned with who you truly are. So
yes,
that's on point.
And it's absolutely on us. So this is what you do for you, to find your voice, to find the topics, to gravitate to fields and people that are destined to be in your life. So brand out this. And again, it's cool to be dummy. It's cool to be at the beginning of the journey. It's cool not to be perfect at the beginning. You can anytime revert, evolve, but have a look. Where are you in terms of clarity? You look at your profile, your presence on LinkedIn. Is it aligned with the direction you want to go? Is it really reflecting the real you? And again, it's not about showing unfiltered everything. You can still be authentic in a very professional manner, but it's a learning journey and it takes a little bit of a time to master it. Once you are really clear about who you want to be or which sides you want to show in the platform and other discussions, directions you want to go, then you can absolutely give another try to strengthen that narrative based on strategic pillars and make sure that you are building very consciously, intentionally. And I think next to authenticity, intentionality is something which should be on the back of the brain of every discussions when you speak about your 2025 plans. And eventually you need to see that, is my content hitting the standards, whether it's quality, direction, or strategic verticals?
Can we say, because I wrote about this Monday or so, about the brand audit, right? Can we call it truth audit, the exercise of auditing your truth? Because I think, these days, that's kind of saying that fake it until you make it, it's not sticking with reality, right? That there's no room for that.
So I think it's another session.
There's a lot here to unpack.
Opening up Pandora's box, my friends. So we don't want to go there. But yes, so we can absolutely challenge it a little bit even on a deeper level, but that's absolutely a much deeper discussion. And we are approaching to the very end of our discussion, but we personally love to get presents. So we brought two of those content pieces that we found the most impressive for our students, clients. One of them is the LinkedIn About section, because this is something where you can tell your own story and you can absolutely play around that what's this persona you are going to build, of course, on a true lens of your brand. but we give you 5 techniques in this leaflet because we do believe that there are separate ways to tell that story on the vertical of professionalism and authenticity and personal branding. And the other one is LinkedIn Success Factor checklist. There are many checklists out there which are going to page audits and speaking about how do you optimize your profile whatsoever. But I always feel a little bit incomplete, or I have this kind of void that it's really cool, but having a good profile being found is only like 20% of the story, and everyone is skipping the strategy part usually. And yes, you can absolutely progress or go to a direction without having the strategy work, but if it is not proper, or you need to reconsider because you need to find a new role, you are going for a vertical transition, you want to excel to the next level, I think the strategy part is the single most important one. And that's why I think our program IX3 is really strong, because we put a lot of effort to this foundational work. And what people usually don't speak about, that yes, the execution is very important, that you are consistently showing up. There are a ton of tools out there. You can use free templates. I'm using a free Notion one. I love it. It really helps me to keep structured and organized in my crazy busy life. But what they don't tell you, that many times you just don't do it anymore because you just lose the motivation. There is no more real progress. You are discouraged. You are not able to proceed further. You found challenges that you wasn't prepared for. And that's why I think having a community around you, a combination of experts or fellow creators on the same journey as you, on the same size as you, is super important, because then you can be each other's sparring partner. You can have some kind of accountability there. You can ask for advice on a daily basis. So these materials are for you. If you want, there is a link, the next slide, I believe, where you can register and we will send it to you.
We'll do our best. So with the 10-ish minutes left, let's open the mic for people attending and for all our fellow friends and creators that decided to invest some time today being here with us. And we want to hear your questions. What questions you have about this model? What did this part of thought leadership, the IX3 model? So how much does the feedback, likes, engagement guide you in creating your content? This is a great question, right, Kinga? Because sometimes we might be just persuaded by the performance, and that might change our strategy about the journey. Should that be the approach, or should we just stick to what we've agreed?
So I think feedback and evaluation is, again, many times forgotten, and that's why strategy has a very important role to play, because you can absolutely use these opportunities to first validate. Is it a good direction? Also, the content pieces, for example, you might be super passionate about a topic, but it doesn't resonate with your audience. I personally use it for digital product testing. How does it resonate with people? Or topics that I would love to create a longer video piece, for example. So I really use the engagement metrics as some kind of a feedback loop, or some validation, or the other way around, that it's super cool that it turned out at this very early stage that people are not really as passionate about it as I am. So these are nice because they can help you sharpen your direction and fine-tune your communication.
Takesh makes a good point, though, which is they might be seen as vanity metrics. Again, they're feedback, but they might also be working well for others, posting topics, generic topics, or topics you do not resonate with and you don't want to value. So that depends, right, on your content strategy, and you need to tailor it to so you need to value, again, it's the balance that you talked about, right? You need to value that it doesn't distort your strategy, your why, and your intent, right? And your strategy to influence.
I'm going to say something that might not be popular. Sorry to break it. So many times we don't care about vanity metrics because we care about quality instead of the quantity, which is very true if it would be only a human's game. But being on LinkedIn, it's twofolded. You need to win the heart of the people and the algorithm. So the possibility to get more eyeballs, you actually need that engagement. It is sad news, but you really need that engagement, the shares, the comments, and the likes in this order, that your content is validated as a quality content. So the algorithm is letting it to go to more and more people. So you can reach more eyeballs, more potential, either recruiters, clients, potential talent, whatever is your why that we discussed at the very beginning of the journey. So really need to be conscious about it, that you do need to go a little bit with the trends, or sometimes the fluffy content. the lighter content or just scratch a little bit the surface, and maybe it's the entry point of your people to get to your radar, and you may or may not want to harvest them in your newsletter database or drive them to your YouTube channel, but you can go deeper to the topics. But sometimes you must be light, even entertaining or very light, really.
You have a week, different days,
Yes,
different
you
kind of
can,
content.
you can.
You have them all combined in a smart manner, right? You can strategize
Yes.
the content and
Absolutely,
make it look good
absolutely.
in a smart manner with valuing different angles, in different days. It's about the curation of your days, your message, who you reach on Monday, who you reach out to on Tuesday, etc. Which components are you bringing into your messaging?
Days are very important, and believe me or not, but the weather is very important because people do react. So we are humans, and sometimes I shuffle my content. I usually have them timed well ahead, but I usually have this kind of a phasing sometimes if I see that, oh my goodness, this is not going to turn out good. And that's an important piece of
parents,
content.
the weather might change really fast, right? And also for us parents, the weather might change really fast depending on the kids' morale. Melinda is also asking, is there a link to register? Yes, we will share the link on chat. ix3.
ix3.pro. That's our brand new domain.
I think this has been a super rich conversation. Again, we intend to continue this movement, as we said. And let me just wrap up from my end, and then I'll pass the ball to Kinga so that she can close the webinar, our live. From my end, I think, one thing that really captured, but it was a funny one that I think it captures the spirit with which we're here, and that we're, intend to proceed on this movement. I've just received a message today, a recall from LinkedIn regarding our live event today. And then someone just texted me, saying, hey, this is going to be a great event. Thank you for putting this up, etc. What are you selling? And my reply was, I'm not selling, you're selling. Or at least you should be selling. But hey, if you don't know if you're selling or not, just join us later today to know who you should be selling and why you should be selling, because that's also, the why and the how that we talked about. And that's also your role on LinkedIn. If you're paying attention to the things going on LinkedIn, you should know what you're selling, right? So come up later on and join us to know you're selling. For me, it really captures the spirit with which we're on this. And again, stay tuned for more details. The link was shared in the comment. And thank you all for being here, to your growth in the first place, but also to commit with this idea of purpose, personalization, and good service to LinkedIn, which I think it affects us all. And it should be about all of us. And keep an eye on your feed for more updates. Kinga, please close us off.
So I'm celebrating my dumminess today because this was our very first live. And I encourage everyone to do something new today or tomorrow, or just use any of the knowledge that you heard here, because I think that's the aim of the exercise, to develop yourself, to grow on this journey, because that's where we are. And we all do sell something. Here, it's us, the brand we are building. So it's the personal brand that we are marketing out there, like it or not. And I think that's why it's super important to invest a little bit to this field, to really reflect the image, the picture, the qualities, the strengths that we want from other people as well, to perceive us on our true worth.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you so
and an impactful 2025 for everyone. See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.